Hey guys, it's Jonathan McCormack. I'm an attachment specialist in New York. You can find me at attachmenthealinghelp.com. And this is a series on relationship OCD. Relationship OCD, essentially it's like OCD, obsessive compulsive disorder, only specifically with relationships. Kind of going off, the book by Sheva, Rajaee, which is pretty good, also called Relationship OCD. And this video will be fairly brief, but it's about physical intimacy, because of course, in the bedroom is where most of our neuroses really live. And this is kind of huge with people who have anxious attachment or relationship OCD. People obsess about, when you're with your partner, reminds you of all the things that you're not feeling with them, that you did feel with this other person, always comparing these experiences to past experiences, endlessly checking to see if the experience you're having is the right experience, that the feelings are right. Now, the problem is that anxiety will immediately come up, and start asking questions like, oh boy, did the way your ex do this, was that more enjoyable? Shouldn't I be more into this? Shouldn't they be more into this? On and on and on. Well, anxiety rips you out of your body, Anxiety kills intimacy. You can't get close to people. Women can't orgasm, they feel anxious, they have to feel calm, And also, with relationship OCD, intrusive thoughts will actually come during sex, You think like, no, in that moment, you're present. No, people suffer even during it. They will have these thoughts because that's an intimate experience and the alarm goes off, And the main alarm whenever you get intimate with someone is, will I get hurt if I let myself be vulnerable in this relationship? That one thought, that one question, as simple as it is, has ruined lives. It's prevented people from experiencing any love. People avoid commitment. They avoid all physical contact with that one thought, because, if you think about your anxiety, it has one mission, and that's basically to protect you from the possibility of you getting hurt. At all costs, no matter what, you cannot get hurt, So, what does it do? Well, if you're physically intimate with someone, that's vulnerable. You could get hurt. So, it sends you intrusive images, racing thoughts, and at times it can make it feel impossible to get out of your head, just to get in the body to actually enjoy things. Well, the body is where desire is, and if you're in your head, you're not in your life, and it's rather tragic. This anxiety makes it difficult to be intimate with the person you most want to be intimate with. I mean, it's a rather torturous feeling. The other thing, it's just, we try to make sex very free, opened it up and explored it, and instead of bringing us together, it's really forced us apart, because it's assumed this huge significance, almost religious significance, that the pressure we put on ourselves, of course, is going to create anxiety, and also our expectations. People who are anxiously attached, who have relationship OCD, I know what they believe. I already know. I'll ask them, and they'll tell me. And they feel burdened by these beliefs, suffocated by them. But they believe, sex should be effortless. It should be passionate. It should be more or less engaging through a lifetime. You shouldn't have to put in a lot of work. There should automatically be chemistry and be a lot of it. And if they don't get that, they feel ashamed. What's the matter with me? Am I not attractive? Is the relationship wrong? They believe chemistry and attraction should be instantaneous. A couple who's right for each other should automatically have that strong sexual connection. And believe me, if you start to talk to these people and say, well, you can cultivate that. There's exercises, there's things you can do. It has a lot to do with emotional vulnerability, No, they don't want to hear that. Why? Because in their minds, it's only real if it's completely spontaneous. You can't plan for it. You can't cultivate it. It has to be completely natural. Otherwise, it's artificial, which is ridiculous. I mean, you don't want to have sex in every context. I mean, if you're at a funeral, well, I guess it depends on what you're into. But you just think of a context where you would never be turned on, It would never be spontaneous, It's always something you have to cultivate. You probably just don't realize you're cultivating it, So, they have these beliefs, that when their partner wants to get intimate, they should instantaneously, immediately feel that desire. That you should like the way your partner touches you, always, every way. That you shouldn't have to explain your turn-ons and turn-offs. They should just know, Or one is like, no, you should be having sex a couple times a week. You should, a bunch of things. I mean, I've had one time like, oh, I can't orgasm vaginally. Does that mean I love my husband? Well, those were, they happen like, to 2% of women. It's not that common, so don't worry about that. But, they feel like, oh, I should always like the way my partner tastes and smells. I should never fantasize. Boy, if fantasies come in my head, that means I don't really love the person. And if my sexual interest dies down, that means there's something wrong with the relationship. Anxiously, people often, they gauge the relationship by the sex. Like, really, if that's good, if that's okay, if he or she's satisfied, then the relationship's good. A lot more to a relationship than that, That's not a great temperature gauge, And there's things that I know people with relationship OCD won't believe me. So they're always like, what's the right amount, of sex to have? What's the right amount? What's the normal amount? There is no right amount. And they won't believe that. What's the average? There is nothing. It's whatever works for you, You have to tell your partner what you like, what you don't like. You have to communicate, You just have to do that. Fantasizing happens. That's normal. Sexual desire waxes and wanes, influenced by a million things. Doesn't mean your relationship is bad. The truth is, you really don't even need to have sex to have a great relationship. I know it sounds crazy, but consider 40% of marriages over 5 years that have been together longer than 5 years are completely sexless. 40%. I'm sure plenty of those people are miserable and maybe frustrated, but plenty of them are not. Look at the way people rate their marriages. Most people still rate their marriages as more or less satisfying and meaningful. And the frequency doesn't matter either. People come and say, well, my boyfriend, we only have sex once a week. And I'm like, oh, okay. Do you want it more than that? No. But still, we should have more. Doesn't that mean the relationship's not good? No. I know people have sex 5 times a week and their relationship is a wreck. And I know people that maybe have sex once a month and they're so happy and committed. And they're in a wonderful space, you know. The other thing is people seem to believe in spontaneous arousal. You know, that sudden, overwhelming need to have your partner right there and then. Okay. 75% of men do indeed experience this spontaneous, overwhelming urge. Only 15% of women describe having a spontaneous arousal style. 15%. Most women, and if you don't, that's normal. That's completely normal. There's no right or wrong, you know. Responsive arousal, that means you're responding to something, something sexual, someone's coming on to you. It's a response. It doesn't come from interns. Something happens in the environment, watching a movie, whatever. Responsive arousal, that's about 5% of men and about 30% of women. That's the slow to warm style. Yeah, they respond. You got to heat them up, you know. So I know people who have a responsive arousal style, and they don't actively think about sex. They don't. When it's there, of course, they want it. They enjoy it. And they think like, boy, I'm never thinking about it. I just don't seem to get these spontaneous feelings. Is there something wrong with me? Is there something wrong with the relationship? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. There was a time when the culture was different, when Freud was around, and we had these moral injunctions, and it was called like the superego injunction that would criticize and kind of tell you what to do. And it would tell you, don't enjoy sex. Don't do it. It's shameful and bad. Now it's reversed. Now the message is, you must enjoy. You better enjoy. I know women tell me, like, oh, I'm wasting my hot girl years because I'm 22 and I don't have a boyfriend. A waste? What does that even mean? No one's on their deathbed thinking, I wish I didn't waste my hot girl years. That never happens, you know. They feel that they must. I'm like, oh, do you want to do that? Oh, it'd be nice. But I'm in college, I'm doing this, I'm doing that. Oh, okay. No, they have this guilt that they're not enjoying. You have to be wild. You have to do it. You don't at all. You don't. You know, nothing's wrong with you. And for many, that's what sex is. They don't think about it unless someone's actively touching and kissing and everything. But and I will say this: whether your style is responsive or spontaneous has nothing to do with sexual chemistry. It really doesn't. It has to do with your psychological makeup and your biological makeup, you know. And I know people are shamed about having a low libido or not being aroused by their partner. That's just how they are. That's just who they are. It doesn't mean anything. It's ridiculous to shame people, you know. People used to be shamed for having sex. Oh, you're an awful person because you go out. And now it's the opposite. And it's like, oh, well, I'm chaste or I'm celibate or, yeah, I don't. And it's like, oh, well, just, no, you can't do that. Oh, no. Any kind of sexualized, but not that one. Don't be, no. You have to constantly be doing that. That's what you gotta be doing, enjoying sex. There's more important things, people, you know. But you can, you know, once you recognize this, accept yourself, forget about the guilt, forget about what society says, be you, and then you can discover what works for you and what doesn't, you know. I know a lot of women particularly, it's torturous. They really beat themselves up because they fantasize, you know. But the truth is, 80% of women have fantasized during sex. and 98% of men have. That's a big number. It's a big number. If you don't fantasize, that's rare. That's odd, you know. And also, I will say, people, again, seem so obsessed with this quantity. How many girls have you been? How many this? How many that? And that's what they stake their egos on. You know, listen, it's about quality. It's about quality. You know, it doesn't matter if you're getting with your girl or a guy 5 times a week. If it's not meaningful, if it's not intimate, and there's nothing, bad sex is sex without vulnerability. People who cannot be vulnerable, who cannot open up emotionally, those are the people who start bringing in this and that and whips and whatnot, because the emotional vulnerability is too dangerous. So they try to bring in like physical danger, other things to make it exciting. But it's really that intimacy, that deepness that makes sex good, you know. And it's Emily Nagasaki, who's kind of she wrote Come As You Are, and she is kind of the expert in all this. She did make a good point, and it's tragic, but she says, I'll just read it, she goes, we're raising women to be sexually dysfunctional. With all the no messages we're giving them about diseases and whatnot when they're young, as soon as they turn 18, they're supposed to be sexual rock stars and multi-orgasmic and totally uninhibited. And it doesn't make any sense, you know. It doesn't make any sense. You're ruining. So, boy, why are people screwed up, you know? I mean, the pressure we put on people, it's amazing. It's amazing people have any relationships, you know. You know, and as far as men, contrary to the ridiculous images you might see, men want not only sex, they want to be seen. They want to be accepted. Men want to be desired, you know. And this isn't, I've been talking about women, but men too, they get so caught up in what they should and shouldn't do, that there is no space for true enjoyment and connection, you know. So at a certain point, I know so many people, anxiety just flares up and they say, this is impossible. I'm just going to shut down my entire drive, my entire sex desire. Avoidance do this. The stakes are too high. It's too exhausting, you know. And as I say, anxiety shuts down desire. It shuts down attraction. It shuts down arousal. It shuts down orgasm, you know. A good thing to understand is that human desire in general, sexual desire, is broken up into two main processes. Basically an accelerator and a brake. Right? They got big fancy names for these things, but that's what it is. The accelerator is called the Sexual Excitation System, SES. Okay, that's fine. And basically that's the system that's scanning for the environment for sexual cues. You know, like, is it time? It's time. You know, sound, tastes, whatever. You know, telling your body, get ready, you know. And you know, if you receive the go signal, then this whole SES system sends inputs to your brain and it says go for it, you know. And then there's SIS, basically brakes, the sexual inhibition system. It does the opposite. It's always looking for reasons why this is not a good idea. If it sees any, it'll put the brakes on. Now there's a difference though, because with normal people, when the brakes go on, it's slow. But with people's relationship OCD, that anxiety is like a lead weight just slamming down on the brake. It's like going like 65 to 0. So these people are madly in love, passionately in love. And then 2 weeks later, just nothing. No desire at all, you know. And what's truly difficult, and this is very torturous, I mean truly, is that some people have a very sensitive accelerator. They get turned on easily. But because they have that anxiety, the brakes go on at the same time. So imagine the accelerator, go, and the brake at the same time. you know. First of all, you're not going to be going so far, but also it feels very frustrating because your body is telling you to go, and it's also telling you to stay at the same time. The reason people get their brakes triggered, a million body image, poor self-esteem, feeling used, you know, intrusive thoughts, just feeling tired, stressed, overwhelmed, you know. I mean, anything can really do it, you know. And then, of course, comes all those thoughts. What if I'm not into this and my partner can tell? Or what if I don't like how they're touching me? You know, I can't say anything. Oh, no. And your brakes kind of just, you know. But not a gentle tap. They just slam down, you know. And again, people with anxiety want 100% certainty. So they might be like, what if I'm not into this? And the brakes will slam down. Another person will be like, what if I'm not into this? All right, maybe I won't be. I'll just check it out and we'll see what happens. But no. So the anxiety needs 100% certain they're going to like it and it's going to be okay, you know. And unless you have that 100% certainty, all your desire and arousal kind of just gets slammed down, you know. So, you do hear, because if you have anxiety, you're going to think there's something wrong with your relationship. But this really isn't true. You know, I know people with a lot of anxiety think that good sex is effortless and it should be easy. And that if there's any problems, that means the relationship is doomed, and you've clearly made a mistake. But the truth is, even good sex, it can be hard. You know, it can be hard. I mean, that's where all our vulnerabilities are. You know, it can be messy. You know, and it always comes with a lot of vulnerability. Always, always, always. I mean, the truth is, people are like, "What's healthy say?" What is it? Healthy, it isn't something that just happens to you. You meet the right person and it happens. It doesn't happen when there's the right relationship or perfect match. Healthy sex, healthy, is the product of time and investment. You have to grow it. You have to groom it like a garden. You know. Anyway, that's all about that, you know. The next part of relationship OCD will actually go into like some things what you can do about this. So you can find me at attachmenthealinghelp.com, Jonathan McCormack, and thank you for listening.